They slapped me with a $2,000 fine for casting a line in my own pond. My own damn pond, the one that came with the house I scraped together $500,000 for after that brutal divorce. I mean, come on, this was supposed to be my fresh start, my quiet corner of the world in this sleepy suburb called Willow Creek, where the air smells like pine and fresh-cut grass, and folks still wave from their porches. But there was Linda Hayes, the HOA queen bee, striding up like she owned the sunrise, clipboard in hand, telling me I'd violated some ancient township water ordinance. And man, that look in her eyes, it wasn't just bureaucracy. It felt like she had a personal vendetta against anyone daring to enjoy their slice of peace. I remember that morning clear as crystal, sitting there at dawn with my old man's battered tackle box, the one that still carried a faint whiff of his menthol cigarettes, sipping black coffee that burned just right, casting toward that submerged stump where he'd shown me, back when I was a kid with skinned knees and big dreams, how to tell a perch bite from a catfish tug. This 1.5-acre pond was why I bought the place, to heal, to feel connected again after everything fell apart with my ex. The neighborhood was solid, middle-class vibe. $150 HOA dues a month for upkeep on paths and parks. Nothing flashy, just good people letting kids run free. Neighbors would stroll by, chat about the weather or what was biting, kids begging to hold the rod. It was pure, simple therapy. Until Linda showed up, heels crunching gravel, measuring tape dangling like a noose. "Mr. Ellis, this pond's now under community jurisdiction," she says, voice sharp as a fillet knife, pulling out papers that looked legit, stamps, seals, references to a real township rule from the 70s allowing HOA buy-ins for water management. She claimed they'd shelled out $45,000 last year for control rights, and now fishing needed permits, fees, the works. I pull up my deed on my phone. "Look, this is my property line right here." But she's already snapping photos of my gear, my mug, even the dock my dad built with me one summer, muttering about violations and safety hazards. It hit me like a gut punch. This wasn't random. Her eyes lingered on the water like it was gold she wanted for herself. The fines piled up fast, $2,000 for unauthorized angling, then $700 for dock infractions, $500 for disturbing wildlife. And she'd show up at 6 a.m. Sharp, like clockwork, measuring, noting, her presence turning my sanctuary into a battlefield. I caught her on camera once, sneaking onto my land pre-dawn with a flashlight, like some obsessed prowler, and that's when I knew. This was deeper than rules. Linda had a scheme, maybe tied to her real estate side gigs I'd heard whispers about, using HOA power to push folks out for cheap flips. Neighbors started avoiding me. Old Bill from across the street, who'd share beers and fishing tales, now ducked inside. Parents yanked kids away mid-wave. She spread rumors I was poisoning the water, a lawsuit magnet, turning the whole block against me with her silver-tongued manipulation. My gut twisted every time I saw her car pull up. "Another inspection, Mr. Ellis?" Failure to comply means escalation. Her words dripping with that fake politeness, but her smile cold, calculated. It ate at me, nights wide awake, wondering why me, why now. Turns out my pond front spot was prime for her portfolio, and she envied the piece I had. The memories she couldn't touch. Her own life a mess of failed marriages and power grabs. Things spiraled. Lost my software job after 12 years, spotless records shattered by anonymous tips about me slacking during work hours, clearly her doing through county connections. Foreclosure loomed, savings draining like the pond in drought, down to $28,000 after lawyer chats that went nowhere. I listed the house desperate, got a lowball $320,000 cash offer from some shadowy firm. Too convenient, too predatory. That's when allies emerged, like rays breaking through storm clouds. Old man Frank Dawson, retired township clerk next door, widowed and wise, finally cornered me by the mailbox, voice low. "Son, Linda's pulled this before. Squeezed out 5 families with bogus regs, forced sales below market. She's got shell companies snapping 'em up." His eyes, usually distant since losing his wife, sparked with regret. He'd stayed silent too long, scared of her wrath, but seeing me unravel hit home. Then Sarah Lopez, HOA treasurer, single mom with a sharp eye from her accounting job, slipped me records showing that $45,000 payment vanished into thin air. No receipts, just routed to Linda's vague consulting outfits. "I signed off thinking it was legit," she whispered, glancing over her shoulder, her daughter tugging her hand. Sarah torn between loyalty and fear, Linda's subtle threats about her job hanging like a sword. We dug deep, me coding scripts to trace public records, Frank decoding bureaucratic timestamps, uncovering Linda's empire, fake invoices, embezzled funds fueling her buys of those distressed homes, pocketing $35,000 average per flip times 5, a cool $175,000 scam. Her motive? Pure greed masked as community service, resenting folks like me who had what she craved, stability, legacy, while she clawed for control after her own property flops. But she escalated, coercing Sarah into a false harassment claim, slapping me with a restraining order that barred me from meetings. "Sign it or I'll pin the fraud on you. Think of your girl," Linda hissed at her one night, voice venomous, Sarah's face paling as she recounted it later, guilt eating her alive. Then came the turnaround, that sweet pivot where the hunted becomes the hunter. I cashed out my retirement early, penalties be damned, netting $72,000, and offered the HOA $60,000 for those water rights they thought they owned. But Linda had stolen. She panicked, county alerts tipping her off, launching a frenzy of countermoves. But Frank, fueled by years of bottled guilt, stormed the emergency meeting with our dossier. Picture it. Packed room, tension thick as fog, Frank at the podium, voice steady but thunderous. "Folks, Linda's been robbing us blind. That $45,000? Funneled to her fakes, backdated docs prove fraud." Gasps rippled, eyes widening as he laid out timelines, property deeds linking her to the buys. Sarah stood then, trembling but fierce. "She forced my lie about Mike. Threatened my job, my kid. Enough." The room erupted, murmurs turning to outrage, Linda's face crumbling from smug to cornered rat. "This is conspiracy!" She spat, voice cracking, but the vote flipped, rights sold to me, her ousted in a landslide, fines voided, her empire exposed. In her final lash-out, Dawn bulldozers roared at my dock. "Emergency removal for safety," she smirked, papers waving. But Frank arrived with a township official, confirming my authority trumped her bluff. Chainsaws halted mid-cut, half the dock splintered, heartbreaking, those boards holding Dad's laughs. But we rebuilt stronger. The audit nailed her. $250? 000 plus in theft. Job axed, properties liquidated. Her moving to a dingy rental, isolated retail gig, her new hell. Community healed under Sarah's transparent lid. Open books, committees. My pond now a trust with kids' fishing days honoring Dad. I landed a better job. Neighbors embraced me as the guy who fought back. Sunrises peaceful again. Frank joining for coffee. Our bond forged in battle. But here's the twist that still nags. As she drove off, boxes of files labeled other suburbs in her truck. Was this just one stop in her game? Makes you wonder if justice ever fully catches the clever ones, or if they're out there starting over. If you've tangled with an HOA tyrant or felt that community betrayal, drop a comment. What would you have done? Share your story, hit like if this fired you up, and subscribe for more real-life karma tales.